All right, hello, hello. Oh, guys, let me know if you can hear me okay. Ugh. Man, it's one of those mornings. It's like a two coffee, double double yawn our morning here. Sounds good, cool. Thank you, Nerd. All right, so let's just go over into things. Oh wait, what are the United States doing? We're planning something now. Breaking what? Oh, okay. I guess we're gonna take a 100,000 refugees from the Ukraine. I'm telling you, the long game is everybody that doesn't like it get out, and he's just going to take over an empty country. That's that's the long game. Anyway, so a lot of news this morning. Not really a lot of movement. It's actually rather slow. The only thing, I mean, you may look at the top of this and be like, "Well, wait a second. What do you mean there's nothing moving?" Well, the yen is moving. Okay, but dollar yen, up 117, pound yen up 150, but at the same time, the euro pound 10, pound dollar -3, euro dollar 12. Right. Dollar CAD, 28. Sorry. Dollar Swiss, 36. Again, a little bit of strength there in the Swiss. You may say, huh, why is there Swiss? Why is there strength in the Swiss? Well, pretty simply, it all comes back down to North Korea shooting some missiles. Right. That's the only reason why. This piece right here. So again, if you guys didn't catch the news or whatever, they launched an ICBM missile. It landed in Japanese water, probably like it was supposed to. This was a new one that we hadn't seen before, but this one is. I think they are saying that it has a 16,000-mile range or whatever that it could hit anything in the United States. For those of you that don't, again, not a huge deal. I mean, it's not. North Korea has had ICBMs. They did put a halt on it and actually destroyed one of their nuclear facilities. There was actually news as well that there was activity at or rebuilding or doing something at the nuclear facility that they may have restarted their nuclear program. Um, you know, love them, hate them, whatever you want. 2018, Trump had brokered a deal with North Korea. They halted ICBM testing as well as their nuclear program. Fast forward to 2020, Mr. Kim had basically decided that at that point, that the agreement was no longer the same, and that he didn't have to abide by that promise anymore. Don't know what the original deal really was or what he was unhappy about. Just know that there was 2 years of halting because of a specific president. New president comes in, deal is off, and now we are shooting missiles at each other again. So yeah, there's that. Um, it could be why the Swiss is also having some strength, but it's definitely without a doubt why Japan is a bit lower. Okay, I love it. They fired a suspected missile. No, it's pretty much out at this point. That's exactly what it was. And they've actually given specifics on it, what it looked like. They know everything. So again, not necessarily what you want to hear, particularly being in Japan. I mean, Japan. There's no kind of. I wouldn't say there's any major threat that Japan is going to get. They're not building missiles and testing missiles to hit Japan. They've had that technology for a long time. They would have no problems doing that. Nor is there really anything to gain. It's really kind of an anti-U.S. type piece there, right? Um, so the markets are kind of looking at that and like, I don't know what the heck to make of that. That was one of the big things today. A couple of the other big ones, again, looking at the hottest news, NATO is preparing for the risk of Russian nuclear incidents. Now, again, this is why it was we mentioned that it's pretty scary. Again, Putin looks through different colored glasses than the rest of us, and again, in all fairness, again, play both sides. I'm not going to be this like you know American puppet for lack of a better word. I mean, his reality is what his perception is. So, I mean, that's the reality, for anybody, right? Your reality is what you perceive it to be. Um, I've actually worked for a person that was born in Russia, so the way that he looked at things was totally. I mean, it was a very educating experience. It was not fun. Just the way that they look at Russians look at things is definitely different than us. And to say that they're wrong, I mean, it's you got to acknowledge the differences among people, and that's the problem with American society a lot. Is if it's not American, it's wrong. Well, I don't know. It's actually in the show I have with Todd right now. Todd is just he's so on board, anti-Russia. It's like, well, you know, they're doing some things and they've made some comments. I don't necessarily believe everything that our government says. Call me a conspiracy theorist or whatever it is, but um, you know, I feel that our politicians are in it for themselves. I said that with the whole Tesla deal. I joked forever about the whole Nancy Pelosi thing and the Mr. Pelosi thing. I absolutely believe that that is insider trading for what happened. She absolutely knew those things, and I'm sure she shared it with her husband. And nothing came of it. We heard for a little while that they were like, "Oh, the Fed shouldn't be able to trade," and they were like, "Well, you shouldn't either." And nothing's come of that either. So, call it what you will, but again, Putin talking about nuclear stuff, I think, is actually a very, very bad idea. Because if he's talking about it and they're saying that, hey, listen, if we feel our existence is threatened, then it's on the option, it's on the table, which is the same thing that the United States believe. If our existence is threatened, nuclear weapons will come back into this whole thing. That's why they exist. It's for a deterrent. Well, if we attack their 24-year-old socialites that have a father that happens to work for the government, eventually it's getting to the point where how much are you going to attack them? Okay, you're attacking a 24-year-old child, and I'm going to say child. She's 24. I guess she's an adult, but she's basically a child, right? At 24 years old, but she's created companies. She kind of has a media empire. She has a dad that works for the government, and now we have sanctions against her. She doesn't support the war, but because she profited probably because of her family, that's no different than Chelsea Clinton or any of Obama's children's. Or how about let's go into Biden and his sons and the benefits that his sons have gotten from daddy being in politics. It happens all the time. I think it's more scary that we go after this, but again, NATO was preparing for that. Don't know what that means, but that's something that's definitely needs to be kept on the radar at this point. Okay. Now, the Swiss bank is, they're moving. They didn't change anything. We didn't expect them to. But again, some of the language out of there was pretty interesting, and that's probably why we got some Swiss moving as well. Germany's inflation hit record highs. So again, another one of those kind of record highs. I think the German situation is. Um, it's pretty interesting. We got a couple headlines today out of Germany. One of them, obviously, being that inflation is at a record high. The other one was that basically Germany is not in an emergency situation for gas yet because Russia has guaranteed delivery of gas for them. So, I mean, they've made a lot of comments about we're gonna be energy free, but we need our gas right now. Keep giving us that fix, and it's guaranteed. So, it shouldn't, we shouldn't be good. We shouldn't need emergency assistance. So, you know, it's kind of there's a lot of talk, but the action behind it is actually, it's funny how these headlines are kind of swayed in a specific kind of stance. Um, it's just it's funny, right? And I say funny because not necessarily a laughing matter, but they say one thing, we're going to be completely independent from them within a year because they're bad, but they're like, oh, we don't have to do emergency yet because Russia's thankfully guaranteeing the delivery. It's like uh huh. So um, and then on top of everything else, oh, where the heck is it? Is it this one? Yeah. So this is also big news. And Todd was like, "Yeah, whatever. This is insignificant." I tend to disagree. Okay. China has a ton of people, and that's why obviously food shortages in China is a big deal. That's why them signing agreements to take all of Russia's wheat is a big deal because China needs the food. They got a ton of people. Okay. That ton of people is what gives them a lot of world power, and that's why they will eventually take over as the next world power. Okay. India also has a lot of people. Okay. India right here says that we're going to do currency swaps, right? We can, help them finance trades in rupees and rubles, bypassing U.S. sanctions against them. It's like, wait a second, India, they're a large nation. There's a lot of people there. India is India is another one of those nations that guess what? There are some industries that they absolutely dominate. And guess what? Now they are saying that, hey, Russia, you want to bypass the sanctions? We'll work with you. Sounds like a good idea. So, it's kind of one of these things that Russia, I mean, right now, the three countries in the world that have ICBMs and that are technically allowed to have them are the US, Russia, and China. So two out of the three ICBM nations are anti-US. Now we have India saying, "Hey, listen, you want help? We'll finance with you." Sounds like a good idea for us. We can help grow our economy. We can, strengthen our relations with two major nations right next door, and everybody thinks that this is a great idea. So yeah, so that's kind of where we are this morning. And again, do we want to put sanctions on India? Good luck. Good luck. Um, you want to sanction every the largest countries in the world? Great. We're gonna have no trading partners left, and yeah, that's what we're kind of boiling back down to. So again, I think the biggest thing that we need to watch out for right now is again any news of anything nuclear. I think it's extremely dangerous. I was never, Russia from the beginning was like, nuclear weapons are bad because the amount of destructions that they do cause. And it's, then it was kind of the whole, oh, those vacuum bomb things were bad. Well, guess what? The United States has used vacuum bombs as well. So, everybody wants to, play Monday morning quarterback. But again, nuclear in headlines is bad. And again, change the color of your glasses because if countries like India are now saying, "Hey, listen, we'll help you bypass U.S. sanctions." Remember, originally it was we're going to use crypto to do it, and now we have actual nations, large, what we thought were allied nations, helping Russia bypass sanctions. So, yeah, yeah, it's an interesting day in the world today, right? Children being bombed every day in Ukraine, sanctioning billionaires' kid is that's nothing. I mean, Ernest, that's happening in many nations right now. I mean, there are kids, there are sick, there are poor in many nations being bombed right now. So it's nothing different. War is horrible. It's an absolutely horrible thing. But again, I don't see much of a difference. Like saying that we are playing the strong game. Again, there are things that we could have done, assurances we could have given, and we're just playing a game and losing the game because we have been reactionary from day one. And again, do I think Putin has all his marbles? Nope, he doesn't. Putin definitely doesn't have all his marbles in play. But the problem is, if you're playing a game with a guy that doesn't have all his marbles, you need to play his game, not your game. You can't say, well, this is what fair is, because he doesn't know what fair is. He doesn't care what fair is. So you need to understand how to play his game, and that's not something that we're being successful doing. And again, politics, oh my God, we were so hard on Russia. Yeah, really? Because I would wholeheartly disagree. Just like I've disagreed with interest rates, and now we're at 40-year highs, how I disagree with other excuses. It's all the same. Okay. So as far as the markets go, the markets aren't really sure what to do with this, and that's rightfully so. This is one of those weird days that again, you have G7 talking about, okay, this what do we do if he does a nuclear thing? It's like, wait, what? Are we really having this discussion? Kind of a weird discussion to have. And again, if there's anybody that I wouldn't want their finger on the nuclear button, it would be Putin. Because the second he warps that, hey, listen, we have attacked everybody there, that you're just trying to destroy Russia, he doesn't have any other options, and you're playing into that. So there was a right way to do this and the wrong way, and I think we're doing the wrong way. And now that nuclear weapons have been brought up, I live in D.C., so right outside of D.C., so yeah, it definitely touches home for me. Um, Going into tomorrow morning, not really a whole lot, really. Retail sales, they're expected to not be as great, but again, it's more right now. Sales has not been the issue, and it's and looking at why the sales are not as high, it's more inflationary based. It's not supply chain based. Supply chain based is the one you need to worry about because you just don't have the goods, right? You just can't get them, and we dealt with that for such a long period of time. Right now, it's more like, okay, our retail sales being hurt by inflation because prices are too high. That's more the issue right now is the inflation associated with the retail sales, not necessarily the fact that we can't get the goods. Like people are not buying goods because they don't have them. People are not buying goods because or are buying them at a lesser rate because they're so expensive. So a little bit different of a retail sales picture right now. But again, still on a positive number, so it's not negative. If it was negative, then that would actually be something that's like, we got to investigate that more. German business info, the climate. I actually expect this number to be missed as well. I think to the higher side. Unfortunately, Germany is in such close proximity to the Ukraine right now. And again, are we going to get our energy? Are we not going to get our gas? What's going on? Like that's still kind of weighing on them. But I actually do think that this will be a miss to the top side. Not enough to where it's going to move the euro, but again, I think it will help fuel once this is kind of stabilized. I think this will help fuel interest rate rises in the euro. And again, having a good climate in Germany definitely helps, and there's a spillover effect into other nations. But again, they're one of the bigger industrial nations in the EU, so they tend to do they tend to do better than everybody else does in that category. Um, you know, Germany, the only nation in the world that's basically been brought to rubble twice, but they are just such an industrial powerhouse. You just can't. They're just I don't know what it is. I don't know if they're whatever it is. I mean, their country has basically been destroyed twice, and they are still such an industrial powerhouse in all of the EU. It's absolutely I mean, it's amazing. And again, that kind of adds to why the euro has inherent flaws in the way that it's designed because Germany's great data and great economy, unfortunately, also dictates what EU policy is for smaller nations that are unable to compete. And again, that's one of the big would have been one of the biggest problems for the Ukraine joining or when it does. I think it will when it joins the EU is the size of Germany's economy when they need to change interest rates around to stifle inflation there, it's going to hurt smaller nations that are not in the same place industry wise. So I think it'll be a miss at the top, and then revised U of M consumer sentiment. I don't think this one's going to really change that much. I don't think it's going to be a big thing. I think it'll be more headlines tomorrow than anything else, and people trying to figure out what the heck's going to happen, going into the weekend. Um, so like I said, not this was not a very very big news week whatsoever. Today was really the biggest day, and they weren't even like blockbuster like top five news releases. I would say that they were kind of more or less subpar. I mean, definitely maybe durable goods is top 10, but definitely not top five. It used to be at one point, but it's definitely not anymore. Um, and again, there's so many different factors that are weighing on that one. And retail sales is a good one, but again, the story is more inflation right now than what the sales is. It's not like people don't have the money to spend. It's just that it's like, whoa, how much are we going to spend for that? What is? I mean, last week I could have bought that for how much, and this week it is how much now? Wow, maybe next week it'll go back down. So it's more inflationary story. But UK has done three raises already, so it's amazing that it's still there. All right, so um, are they being bombed by Russia? Are they being bombed by Russian weapons? Would be a better answer, Ernest. So I mean, I mean, I hate to say this, but yeah, what's happening in the Ukraine is absolutely horrible. And bombing civilians is it allowed? No, but urban warfare, you're going to have civilians. I mean, every single one of our drone strikes killed civilians in the Middle East. Look at what's happening in other countries. I mean, there is entire genocide. I mean, China is still committing active genocide. And where's the headlines? Genocide's happening in multiple parts of the world right now, where they are wiping out entire populations, and nobody talks about it. So, to me, a child in a third world nation is no different than a child here. They're all children. They all deserve protection. But it's amazing that because energy is involved and politics is involved, that Ukraine gets all the spotlight. There are plenty of people that are committing horrible, horrible things right now. And yeah, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. Um, Technically, Ernest, I mean, with the way we're going to do taxes in the United States, we're already sanctioning billionaire kids. You're rich, you should give half of what you have to everybody else, even though your family worked hard for it. It's basically like a sanction, right? I'm going to tax you 10 times more than that person because equality, right? Because of equality. And at the end of the day, the people that are hurt most are the people that are, working the hardest. Sucks. It sucks, but that's what it is. Those memes are popular now. The guy's like, "That's a great car." The guy goes, "Yeah, you know what? If you work 40 hours a week, and put in extra overtime, and put in more effort than you ever have, I'll get another one next year." Right? You ever see those comments? Kind of the same thing, right? So VIX, we're going to start a story off with the VIX today. So, a lot of things have happened. As I said, nuclear talks, missiles, everything. Um, VIX is up about 0.64%. I wouldn't really say that it's up from where we closed, but it's not really, this is not moving. VIX is very consolidated, very compressed. We're waiting for the next big headline right now. We don't really have any news today for that big headline, but it's kind of coiled. It's kind of there. It's kind of like, oh, what's next? Looking at it like this, though, I'm going to say, you know, at 23.7, right? We're kind of on the lower end of the spectrum of what it's been recently, right? It's been much, much higher. But again, obviously the big contagions is Ukraine. This is actually something to look at it, and this is good, right? This is good. We are on the bottom side, and again, this is not a supply and demand base. It's not like you go to your store or somebody's growing VIX, but being on the lower end of spectrum, right? We're putting more sanctions in. Other countries are helping get around those sanctions. We got ICBM missiles flying, and this is not spiking up really, really high again. So that's good. Um, I think the market is kind of getting fatigued from the whole thing, but for the most part, this is not horrible, right? This could be much much worse right now. Jacking around the market. So overall, I mean, seeing it up 0.47, you're like, oh my god, wait, it's up and up. Yeah, this is not really up. This is just kind of like a natural fluctuation, but we have highs and lows above it. So not actually a bad place, right? Dollar wise, dollar is kind of on the higher range again. We're getting back up there. We talked about how we had some sellers coming in at 98, 92. Dollar's also not in a bad spot, right? We know we're going to raise. All the comments we've heard are like, "Hey, we're going to get more aggressive. We're going to get more aggressive. We're going to get more aggressive." The market doesn't quite seem to kind of believe it yet. Now the dollar is rising, which is good, right? That's what the dollar should do. As we, again, 0.25, although it's weak, it is still a positive thing. The question is, if we can get to 0.5, then we can catch the UK. And again, that's where the dollar really will start getting some major strength. But again, being up here almost at 99, this is historically kind of high. I mean, again, it's obviously been higher recently. But after that, after you go from March, I mean, this is more what we deal with, right? The 95s and 96s. So we are kind of more historically on the high side. All right. So um, yeah, so it is more historically on the high side. Um, Oil finally down a little bit, but still kind of on the high side. Natural gas high, but rolling back. Gold just a little bit. Silver starting to move a bit, and again, that kind of seems to be like, oh, inflation's coming back. Okay, silver. Um, but looking at kind of the Aussie, right? So the Aussie right now is at 0.01. It's basically flat in the last 24 hours. The Aussie has really it's up 41. It's done a little bit. We talked about having an area if we could break through the top, and we didn't really get it clean, right? It did come back, it grabbed it, and it went higher, but it hasn't really. We were looking for a pullback to the 74 level. We didn't get that. It didn't come all the way back. So we're going to delete some of these just to kind of clean the charts, right? Right now with this old area, again, 1, 2, 3, number 4 is what broke. It came back and grabbed it and then took off to the top side. So it is a Harry Potter based trade on this one. I would be cautious. Trying to get like a good basing level in here. You'd probably have to do it probably there. That's probably I don't know. I want to kind of want to use that, but I don't know. That's probably a better draw on it. I don't think you're at 1 to 3 right now. But there would have been your trade this morning. Now you could have taken it from here. 1 to 3. Yeah, it's not quite there yet. You could have taken the revision from here, and again, you could have done it, but you should have been using the full zone before. It's had way too much price action in it. I would say though, at this point, I would look for this one to start rolling. The data out of Australia hasn't really been great. The dollar, it's up a little bit, right? It's up a little bit. It's high, but it hasn't quite hit its peak yet. And this is showing nothing but dollar weakness. So I think that it catches up. I think the reason why this one is moving again is gold. Um, the U.S. a little, Todd just sent it to me a little while ago that the U.S. is now going to, I don't know, put sanctions or block gold, which again, it's a commodity that's kind of difficult to block, right? They're going to say the Russian central bank gold is, we're going to put sanctions on their gold as well. It's kind of hard to sanction gold. Um, it's a lot different than like a monetary transaction. It's not like like I said, we were kidding the other day. You don't walk into a store with a brick of gold and say, "How many flakes do you want?" You don't shave it off. It's not like it's not Parmesan cheese, guys. You don't go in with a gold grater and go, "How much?" There you go. I paid for it. So I, I'm going to say it's kind of more lip service from politicians, being like, "Yeah, we did this too." But the reality is there going to be much of an impact? Probably not. Um, Again, gold has so many different uses for it, industrial purposes. Obviously, weddings. It's one of the biggest wedding gift that exists, as far as kind of sheer numbers and volume. Um, it's huge in certain cultures, so it's really hard to just be able to say, "Hey, we're going to sanction that one." So right now, I would say, again, if you're in this one, again, you can see that it's having a hard time getting higher. There's obviously some selling going on. Um, we have a tested level right there, and that's what we're running into. So it's close. Again, obviously, be trailing your stop on this one, but I would be looking for this one to turn and roll back to the downside. Also, again, obviously, we had this level here. We base below it, which again is a big telltale sign that it's going to break. It pulled back, and I wouldn't say it was a really clean exit. We marked off this area yesterday. It did the same thing, right? This was the top. There was a confirmed again 1, 2, 3. Number 4 broke. We based on the top. We pulled back into it. Could you have gotten long here, here, here? Yep, you could have. And again, we're out the top side. For me, I, I I think right now, again, with shooting one missile towards Japan, not trying to hit Japan, but just the fact that you had missiles landing there. I don't think it'll be their last one. I think there's going to be more headlines coming out of this one. Remember, North Korea basically lives under sanctions nonstop, right? They more or less have cut themselves off from the rest of the world. I mean, they have some trading partners, but you know, it's basically China. So it's nice that we can say, well, you committed, you broke your promise that you made back in 2018 to Trump. Um, we're gonna put sanctions on you. There's not much more you could do to North Korea, so it's kind of yeah, it's one of those things that it's nice to be able to say that that would have a major impact, but it's North Korea. North Korea is, yeah, not quite. Yeah, it's not there. It's not quite there. Um, obviously South Korea had said some things, but I think with that situation, I don't know if this situation is over. So I like the Aussie dollar. I think that's a good play. But again, going against the yen right now, I do have a little bit more problems with that, particularly going into the weekend. You know, it just I think we're starting to get close to the end of the week, so I'd be cautious about a reversal. Probably a reversal next week if we hear nothing more about this, but I think there's obviously some risk involved with it. Now euro pound is basically stabilized at this point. We were looking for a pullback back to 83.61. It didn't get it. It's trying. I mean, it's grinding, grinding, grinding. Had to go down, grab some more. Made another push. It's like and it pulled back and grabbed those same buyers again. It's kind of at a standstill as well. Again, not that North Korea with nuclear weapons is as much of a deal for the EU, or having a nuclear program in ICBMs. But again, Russia is. They're right there. You know, it's it's risky, but none of the data so far has been really anything that's going to kind of change its trajectory. Again, great. German inflation definitely has brought some strength back into the euro. I think the pound at this point is just wrestling, but right now the bigger story is going to be, where is it? 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 Maybe it's linked in this one. Hold on. Yeah, business comments and French output hit 8-month high as well. So having these again, German inflation is high. French output growth hits 8-month high despite manufacturing slowdown. So these are all things where we're going to start seeing some European strength come back in. I actually think that the Europeans, they so far have taken an extremely, extremely dovish kind of stance on inflation, and kind of raising. And again, obviously, there's some things going on over there, but they, I thought, had a really, really great way to handle kind of the COVID recovery. I liked how they strategically shifted the funds. Like, we're not cutting our funding, but we're changing it to the sectors that need it the most. I think that that was an awesome idea. I thought that they were handling this really, really good. And then when Nuclear came out, it was kind of like, well, maybe we're not going to go as crazy. Like, it started, the story kind of started to change a little bit for them, which is fine. I mean, it makes sense that it would do that. But I think that they still have taken an overly dovish kind of stance on there, and there's reasons why. I mean, using the excuse that, well, the Ukraine, yeah, the Ukraine, but they're not part of the EU. You know, Obviously, if you look at it at this point and you read the headlines, Russia supposedly is going backwards. They're not going forwards anymore, and they're supposedly, that's supposedly what we're led to believe at this point, that Russia's basically dead in the water there. The EU is running out of excuses. And again, I'm gonna call this this is a U.S. created ordeal, right? Um, you know, the whole tech sector, fake it till you make it. I think that they're, again, make every excuse in the world until you absolutely have to do it. They're starting to run out of excuses. So I think EU strength is going to really start coming back in. Now, not that we're going to see pound weakness, but I think EU strength. I think we should be looking for buying opportunities in anything related with the euro, because, as I said, they are running out of excuses. They are going to have to start raising interest rates because, again, Germany is getting too hot. Those other nations, the pigs, Portugal, Italy, Greece, Spain, they are going to continue to have problems. But with France and Germany both heating up, I think it's coming. I think we're going to start seeing some headlines, so there's going to be some opportunities in this one. So, right now it's kind of hard. We got sellers above, buyers below, and again, the buyers below obviously are stabilized right here, right? Top side, again, we know we got up top. So really, the range right now we're kind of playing it is only about 35 pips. It's not really really huge. So just again, be cautious of kind of the not lack of room, but again, 35 pips is fine. It's just trying to play it correctly. Is what's more important right now. Euro yen. Euro yen also going higher. We talked about a small level up top, and you can see it hit it here. It hit it, and it grabbed more, and finally was able to break through just a few seconds ago. So, couple small areas here. This is, for me, it's the same sense. It is already starting to rise. It's actually going higher than the Aussie yen is. But the same type of exposure. I think this one has some decent levels. To where top wise, I was looking at this on the other platform. You can see the last big push was really this 134 level, and we're close, right? 134 was the last time that we had major sellers, and this is on a 4-hour basis, right? I don't even think, I don't know. Let me go. I may have to go up there daily, but the last time we actually had true sellers was right here. Look at this, right? Right there. Let me dial right into that zone so you guys can see it. All right? This is a 4-hour basis. So this is what we're dealing with right now, right? Few hits, not super clean. That's what we're about to run into. So is it kind of set up for a bounce? Yeah, probably. I do think that there's probably a short in this one. On a weekly basis, I like it long. Going into Sunday, we're talking. We talk about sometimes that we have these longer term kind of week long positions. I actually kind of like this one for a long next week, but I do think we have a pullback first, particularly off this level, 134 to 134, not 134 14. Why this is important and why I wanted the market off. This is a 4-hour chart, and we just drew a 14 pip zone on a 4-hour chart. Okay, that doesn't happen often, especially on a 4-hour, right? So, you know, we got to kind of take advantage of it. It isn't the first time it's ever hit this level. It's not fresh. Actually, let me go back up. I think I can see it on a daily the last time it was there. Yeah. So, as you can see, this area right here, there's something going on. Actually, maybe I can't see it on a 4-hour. Yeah, I can. Okay, good. This is what we have right above. You can see that this is where the flip is. There's a big area. And again, on the 4-hour, that's the one we just marked. This is the next little level up here. This one is 60 pips. So that's how rare a 14 pip 4-hour zone is. Again, not fresh, right? Not fresh, but it's been a long time. Decent movement, 4-hour base level, always good for a bit of a pullback. So again, if we can find something shorter term when it's kind of like, oh, North Korea hasn't made a peep in 5 days, okay, sounds good. There's a reversal trade in this one. Is it going into the weekend? Potentially could be. Let's bring it back down. Go back to a 30-minute. So I'm looking for some type of reversal in this one, but I think as soon as we start seeing, Lagarde talk about, when the potential of, controlling inflation is going to be and it being higher than expected, I think that we have a good opportunity to kind of break through this level. So, but I think probably, I want to say tomorrow, probably, maybe even the European session tomorrow, right? If we hear absolutely zero come out of North Korea in the next 24 hours, I'd say potential short coming to this level for tomorrow morning. Okay. If not, probably a Sunday night thing. Okay. So definitely watching it. Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar, euro dollar. So euro dollar is floating back around at that 109.72, right? This one has moved minus 6 pips in 24 hours. So an absolute complete snoozer right now. All it did was it took a big pop up, we came back down, and then we just chopped back and forth in the European session. Not really. There's not much we can do with it until we get down to 109.04. There's a few little levels here. Again, we've hit this level 3 times. Is there a buy right here? No. I mean, we've hit it 3 times. Yeah, the buyers have stepped in, but it's there's probably not much left. And if we look above that, we can see that we do have kind of I mean, I guess we could draw a channel on it. I mean, we could draw um, you could do one of these, right? Right? And again, it's funny. It's a parallel channel. I just bring it down, and you can see that it's blocking it off. I'd say this is probably going to be more of a grind to the downside. Um, I actually would like to see, if I had my way, we're going to continue to grind lower. And what I'd really like to see is us to come over here and right here. This is what I would like to see. I would like to see us follow the trajectory down. I would love to see us run into this Sunday night, and I would like to get long this Sunday night, or at least Monday morning for the U.S. session. I think next week we start getting serious about other Fed presidents talking about what the raise is going to look like. I think once a majority of them have mentioned the point 0.5, I think we see some massive dollar strength coming back in. I do think Europe will get there, but I think we hit it first. So I'm looking for a long opportunity when we get lower. 109.40 is kind of the area. Pound yen. So pound yen, we were looking for a pullback. We kind of got it. It kind of drove back down again. So the level did kind of pop yesterday, and then it broke through. And again, we kind of had two little touches here. This is arguably there, but we typically only take these reversals one time. It is higher, but now we're kind of sitting in that top section. So I'll remove this 50 because we knew what that was there for. Actually, in reality, I don't need this either. I'll keep it there because we haven't hit the 50 yet. So we were looking for a short. This one only went, what? I'd say only. It went 50 pips to the downside. So, I mean, it was a decent runner. Definitely not, once it was basing, even when it was basing here, if you said, okay, you know what? It's basing. I don't feel good about this one. It was still about 25, 30 pips. So you were fine either way. But right now, it's a remove it. And, I guess I would say if you're looking for a short up here, I have concerns about this level right here. Um, it is 75 pips lower, but I do have a couple concerns, and actually we could shrink this to the move right there. It is not a 1 to 3. Okay, it is not a 1 to 3 base trade. 1 to 3 is actually sitting right there. So the one concern is, again, this is a nice pullback. It hit that level of basing, which it should have. I mean, there's a level of basing right there. So that's kind of what I'm worried about. And again, it's a 23.6. Now, I like the short for the same reasons I like the euro yen. Again, this is kind of retracing everything we've heard from North Korea. If there's nothing more from it, or North Korea makes any positive statements, again, this should retrace back a little bit. Overall, I do want to be long the pound. And again, I think tomorrow with retail sales gives us the potential for this one as well. So I do think there's a role. I think 1 to 3 may be a little bit difficult to get on this one, but if you guys are into this one, again, it is high. We did see great basing. We did see a nice push off of it. It is kind of that full retracement of the entire fib move from earlier in the week. So it's there. Pound dollar. So pound dollar, you can see again a little bit different of a story. This one is also just basing sideways. The channel for this one, I mean, literally top to bottom is only about 40 pips. It looks like it's a lot more. I mentioned earlier in the week I'm waiting for 121, 130, 125. I'd like to get kind of more long this position. In the comparison between the euro dollar and pound dollar, I think the euro dollar has more potential to go down. The pound dollar, I think it has potential to go down, but I do feel that they are still ahead of us in raising interest rates. I do feel that Bailey has, I feel like he has his finger on the pulse. He understands. I actually don't think Bailey's a bad Fed president. He understands what kind of the after Brexit, obviously, the UK is in a very much different situation, right? They don't have the same type of trading agreements and partners and things like that. Um, Understanding what the carry trade is and how big of a market or how big of a positioning tool it is, I think he's going to try to keep the UK ahead of the US. Um, Again, they're at 0.75, we're at 0.5. If they do another, if they're going to do it their next raise, they do a 0.25 again. They're at 1. If we do a 0.5 raise, it helps catch us up. So they did it in 4. We had to do it in 2. We're not far behind, right? So I think that they try to outpace us on that one. I do think that this is more of a buying opportunity when it gets low. But right now we're at that kind of the 50% range of the pullback. So nothing's really changed from yesterday. Still looking for those two levels. We're gonna pull this, and again you can see look at this basing, pop a low, and it's kind of the middle spot. So we don't need it for a crash. I mentioned yesterday that was probably going to be an issue. Let's see, is there? Where's the? There is. That's what I was wondering if that 50 was going to come in there. I'm gonna mark that off, but I'm not gonna do. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna hold that right there and watch that one. Again, also because it's 23. So yeah, pound is not that great. Dollar CAD. We're slowly grinding. I mentioned 125. We're slowly getting there, right? We came down yesterday. We made it within 41. We rallied back up. Used that same level again. Again, look how hot this level's been. Same level, and again today got down to 46. So my opinion on this one is I still think it goes to 125. I think it's justified to go to 125. Yeah, it's dollar strength, but again, with oil back at 112, 112 to 114, I don't feel that the cat is fully caught up yet. So same analysis as yesterday. If you're short, I think you're fine. You could have got short again this morning on it, but I think this one continues to grind lower. But I don't have an actual trade set up for it. If you're short, you're short. Dollar Swiss. So dollar Swiss. Look at that. We talked about riding this one down and then taking the pop. It ended up popping up for it and then popping right back down using that same news release. So kind of funny how the news release, a little bit of manipulation there, right? All right, look at that. It drove it up before the news, and then when it drove it up for the news, it was a. Here's basically what it did. There's your level of basing, right? Here's the vertical line for the Swiss news, which is right there at 4:30. 4:30. Price drove up into the level on the 30-minute, and there you go. We just called it the opposite. We were looking for price to drive down and hold, right? We were looking for price to drive down before the news. It drove up before the news. So yeah, it's completely technical. So I was not awake for this one. I did not trade this one. Just in all fairness, guys, I did not trade this one. I was not awake at 4:30 this morning. But again, easy one. Drove up before the news into a level of 30 minutes of basing, and again, straight back down. So yeah, simple news trade. I'll leave that up there for the other group. So hopefully you guys were able to grab it. And again, did it change its trajectory? No, not really. It's kind of in the same area. Actually, what's this one in 24 hours? Yeah, 19. It's nothing big. But yeah, easy news trade. And also, I mean, just think about it. This is a 30 pip move to the downside very, very quickly. So, people are always asking, I don't have tons of time. I have a job. things like this, I mean, these are easy. Monetary policy, they didn't expect to change it, right? But you knew exactly what it was going to be, and we knew there was going to be some language in there, right? We talked about it being, potentially a good thing. All it did was rally up. You could have literally traded this one, gone back to bed. That's it. Here's the 4 o'clock candle. The 4 o'clock candle went in. It opened at 4:30. So knowing that we drove up, it was an easy short. So there you go. Go right back to sleep. West Coasters should have been all over this one. Dollar yen. So dollar yen. Again, we mentioned we had a big zone here. Look at this. Put up a big fight, base below, came back up, based in, tried to do it again, based in, went up again, perked at the top, and then finally we are now clear. Right, we are finally clear of this level now. And again, it put up a valiant attempt. Again, ICBM, missiles being fired. Not surprised that this one is higher. I think this one continues to grind. Like I said, I think Japan is definitely at risk, right? Definitely at risk. And again, I think the U.S. strength is coming back in again. So just like I said, dollar CAD is I'm kind of grinding down, but not really a major setup on this one. I would say that this is the same thing. Um, definitely bullish this position. I've been bullish this position for a bit now. Let's see if there's any decent levels of pullbacks. Um, yeah, you can see the 23.6 level. There's a pullback level there. So maybe there's a long opportunity from there, right? Maybe there's a long opportunity from that level, right? It'd be right around the 23.6 pullback. It's, there's plenty of room there. There is some basing. There is one touch of it. So we pull back with the yen. Again, the yen kind of doing its reversal this morning. There could be an opportunity there. Let's see how much risk is associated with that one. 16. Yeah, so that's not bad. 16 pips worth of risk. Not horrible, right? And that would basically be a pullback. If you can get a little bit of a bounce, great, and then look for that one to punch higher from that level. So that one's not bad. Put that there. Okay, that would be a long from 121.68. All right, cryptos, they're basically sideways. You can see lots of chopping on the upper side of things. They're up 0.24, and then Ethereum is now down 0.25. I think it's great for the cryptos. The fact that India's like, yep, we'll use an actual legitimate we'll use a legitimate currency, and we'll help bypass. So that way, it's kind of like, oh, whew, we're not the only ones, right? Russia's not going to hurt, kill us on this one because again, Russia's saying we'll just use Bitcoin to bypass sanctions. It's not really what you want to hear as a crypto trader. So again, this brings legitimacy in. There is a lot of talks about, yesterday was all about regulating. We got to regulate cryptos, got to regulate them. I think that's great. Regulation of cryptos is actually what they need to become legitimate. You would think that it would be the exact opposite, like, oh my God, they're going to regulate them. It's going to be so bad. No, it's actually what they need. Um, to be a legitimate asset, you have to be regulated. So I think that's great for them. Ethereum looks the same, very, very high in the curve, kind of bouncing back and forth. Dogecoin, it did take a little bit more of a rally. And again, I would say Dogecoin took more of the rally because AMC and GME both did the same exact thing. So I don't really quite Dogecoin. I don't quite consider in the legitimate crypto ones. I know some people are going to be hurt by that, but it's not. It's a bit different. I mean, it was made as a joke, so it is what it is. AMC you're seeing is now down 9, so it had 2 days of up. The stonks were back, and now it's down 9%. So again, taking a big hit back lower. GME also took that gigantic. It was like, wow, it's at $90. And then all of a sudden we went from 90. It was like a bank intervened. We went from 90 to 125. Yesterday it was like, wait, what do we do? Right? Go long, go long, go long. And now it's starting to drop. It's down 10% for the day already. So it just shows you the kind of who the players are. When you see things like this in these major swings, you're seeing some big movement. TLT bonds wise, look at the gap down in bonds. Yesterday was kind of like, oh God, risk on, risk on, risk on. And then boom, it was like, oh wait, take it all off. So this is quite a nice gap inside of TLT. Oil wise, again, oil's pulling back. We had some levels up here. Again, this 113 was an area. I'll remove it so we don't confuse anybody on it now. Um, with the pushing back down, I would say again with Germany saying, "Oh, listen, we don't need to do anything emergency. We have payment. We have delivery guaranteed." That's what it should. I mean, it's again, that's what the right thing is to do. So obviously, that's saying that there's not going to be a supply problem. It should have brought this back down again. We did break through. Again, we talked about there was a small level down here. I think did we get on the 15? Yeah, it was marked off on the 15. We were just talking about how this level here, it's hit it, it's hit it, it's hit it, it hit it again. So look for a break. It's kind of doing it right now. I'm looking for oil today to actually drop a bit lower. Whoops, not a horizontal line. I was looking for this. Probably down into this level of basing right here. 110.31. It's like $2. It's got to drop $2 more down. Um, but you can look for a base and a pullback on that. There's not just I don't. Let's see if there's any oil headlines out. Mm, Oh, here you go. We just talked about this. So Russia is looking to sell energy sources to friendly nations in Bitcoin. So, oh, look at this, the crypto boom news. This is how it begins for Bitcoin to replace the dollar as the global reserve currency. So this guy's smoking some funky lettuce. Will never happen. Just FYI, it will never be the global reserve currency. Um, put it this way: there would be a NATO coin, or there would be a UN coin before there would be a Bitcoin. Um, and the reason why is because the illicit nature of what you can do with Bitcoin. It's exactly why. So yeah. And gold. Look at this. Gold. Oh, awesome! I love this. Can any Russian speaker confirm and provide literal translations? So yeah, it's nice. And again, um, part of the reason why they're doing this and saying Bitcoin is just to piss the U.S. off. Because all of the EU nations this week talked about how Bitcoin needs to be regulated. It definitely, we have to catch up. We need to have digital currencies. So this is Russia trolling the EU. So gotta love the crypto news. Besides that, but again, it's energy. Inside Putin's lavish yacht. I don't see any other ones. Russian stock market is back open again. Yeah, there's nothing more news wise. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that Germany's getting those things, again, supply is not disrupted. I would expect oil to continue to go lower today. It's kind of due for a little bit of a rest. It was poking back up into that 116 range, which I don't feel was really truly justified. It was a 61.8 reversal. So, I think this one comes back down. Look for 110 today. Natural gas also pulling back. Again, I mentioned this before. A break of 510, right, or 511. I think is a short opportunity for this. Remember, this initial push was the announcement earlier in the week that we're going to have kind of unseasonably cold for 4 days, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. But remember, the market has kind of factored that in. And then when it's here, people look at this and be like, "Wow, natural gas." I'm gonna, I think it comes back down. Once once the unseasonably cold temperatures are gone, that's where you see it. I think we drop back into the 490s. 495 is kind of where this level's at right here. Right. I think that's where our target is to the downside. It's sitting somewhere along. And again, I don't have the actual entry yet. It's going to be somewhere like that. I need to see the base for the pullback. Gold going higher. And again, gold's going higher because the U.S. is going to block Russia from doing anything in gold. So it's like, wait a second, we're going to take how much gold out of the circulation? It's not really. There are plenty of countries that would gladly take gold. Um, yeah. So it's not. Yeah. I understand why gold's going higher. I think this one grinds up to at least 1974. I'm gonna leave this 1910 down here. I'd like this one when we get back down there again. We will once we get some more. Once Europe, pound, and U.S. Are all back into the okay. This is what we're raising next time. It does kind of flip. But right now, any talk of banning or blocking gold, it's like ooh, it should rise. It's doing what it should. So 1974 would be again use this for upward side targets. But there'll be potential reversals. And again, a couple hiccups. So it's not necessarily a super easy trade. And silver, you can see silver is going crazy, right? Again, not surprised, right? Think about what's moving right now. You had AMC, GME, right? Dogecoin up huge, right? And again, it's up huge, but it's also pulling back. Well, silver is the other meme stock, right? Silver didn't do anything for 2 days when AMC and GME had their large, like, I mean, here's GME, right? 2 days ago is when it has its gigantic move, right? AMC, 2 huge days in a row. Silver, it's playing catch up. So I think silver is a great shorting opportunity. Let's actually remove this so you guys can see it a little bit better. And this is interesting. Look at this level in silver right here, right? Tested, large push down. That's what we're running into right now. So, yeah. So, question is if we can get some stabilization here. This is a parabolic move, right? It ended up slicing through this channel, which again we knew this one it sliced through. Remove some of these news ones. We don't need this now, but let's reverse that. I'm curious to see. 50 is going to chop right in there. Yeah, I mean, obviously this is a parabolic move without a doubt. I would say if we can get a decent, we don't have it yet. If we can get a decent kind of top on this one and a push back down again on that kind of correction move, I think we can get a base on this one. I think we look for a short. again, this is a parabolic move. There's actually no reason why this would need to be going higher. I think this is a combination of a couple events, but um, yeah, there's no headline on silver. Um, all right, you know what I should look. It's fine. I don't see it yet. It's odd that I don't have. I was looking for the U.S. is blocking gold um, to see if they're like, oh, silver too, but I don't have it up here yet. It's just more members. I was trying to see if there was more on the gold ban. Do not see the gold band post. I'll have to find that gold band post and see if they mentioned silver too. So anyway, I think we look for shorts in silver. I think it has good opportunity to turn and roll on us. So again, look out for that. Again, especially after this rally up. I mean, this has literally been 7 o'clock is really where the rally started right here. 7 o'clock. So that's a huge move in such a short period of time with not really any. I wouldn't say there's any news to really drive that. So yeah, look for shorts in silver. If we can get a correct bounce, if we can again, if we can get the top on this one and we pull back and get a little bit of space. Remember, if you need help doing the space, the easiest thing to do is always draw a triangle, right? Draw the triangle to where the point is and back up. And if you can see a triangle, that signifies that you had some space in there to do it. Um, so yeah, you can get a triangle. Oops, that's an ugly triangle. Jeez, it's like drawing with crayons. Okay, it's probably because this side. Somebody will tell me like you can't draw. There you go. Close enough. Close enough. Um, it's Picasso with crayons. Um, VIX is still holding firm. Look at that. All right, let's check the indices and see what we would have had at the open today. Yeah, nothing really. The 9:30 candle is right here. So, I guess I mean that's 8:30. Yeah, nine. With it pulling back in again, I wouldn't want to take a long off this. With look, 1, 2, 3. This is hit number 4. Not interested, right? And then it chopped back and forth, and we chopped back and forth, and we went up, and we went right back down again. So yeah, no trade set up in the ES. And again, very difficult trade, right? We knew we were in a zone, but it's been broken. We knew we had highs here, right? Right. So we knew we knew we had an artificial top right there. We knew we had an artificial bottom, really there, and that's right there, and we were unable to hit that one. So yeah, very sideways. I mean, I just say very boring. I mean, we're up 0.37. VIX is down 1%, and now it's starting to rally back. We're going to eat up the rest of this real quick here. So, I'm looking for the headline. The second biggest one is look at his lavish yacht. It's decked out, right? He's got a dance floor. uh, defense and industry base. Yeah, okay. So yeah, right now, I mean, if anything, it looks like it's starting to take more of a turn, and we got some sellers up top. So yeah, I would say, hmm, probably watch for. I would say here's our downside target right here. Right, if you guys are short this position, look for this one to come down and touch 44, 49, 50. But yeah, I mean, talk about chop back and forth. There's a lot of people that have been whipped out on this one. NQ. Yeah, we talked about this coming back up to that level. And again, 10, 9:30. Oh, did it touch it? No, it just missed it. Look at that. Yeah, so we had talked about this one beforehand with it going lower, that there'd be a level up here. We did talk about this short in the Nadex presentation, and again, we're approaching the other side of this where we talked about targets. So yeah, this would have been one. Um, you probably would have got entered a little bit late though. 1 to 3 is only right there. It's 1 to 3.3. Not sure why it doesn't want to mark that, but okay. There we go. Yeah, so 1 to 3 is right. It won't even mark it. You're out of the position. So, all right, so 1 for 2 on NQ. Again, we talked about this short. Look for some stabilization for NQ here now. So I don't need this anymore. We knew that was a 50 level that we were looking for. Um, I'd say downward target on this one is going to be down here. So if you were short, look at 14,377.75 for today. Nothing really stopping it here, so we shouldn't have too much of a difficult time coming in. And again, I mean, could we turn here? Yeah, but I think this one continues to go lower. Look for 14,379.75. That's where we have confirmed sellers. It's 10:30, so I don't know if we're going to get the reversal. We may get it at like 11 today. But again, we called this one earlier today being an issue. YM, yeah, no, we weren't looking for longs obviously at the open because we had one, two, we had three. This is hit number four. We were not interested in it. Um, so didn't. Oh, it kind of did. I guess it kind of did. Came all the way down here. I guess if you were really looking for something at 9:30, but yeah, you were not taking a long off this level here. So this is up 0.45. It's YM's the strongest. Technically, the fact that it did drop at the open, not surprised at all. The data justified that drop. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would not have traded. I would not have been looking to take this one short, or I'm sorry, long at the open. This level, obviously, a little bit better, but yeah. So I mean, looks like we're 1 for 3 as far as entries go, but you could have grabbed this one lower. I'm not going to count that though. And then Russell, we talked about this one was the weakest and deteriorating. It never even gave the entry in. Unfortunately, 9:30 opened here, it was collapsing through a zone. So you would have not gotten an entry. So it looks like only one actual kind of opening trade set up today. Um, I guess if you waited around for a little bit, you waited for the bottom of that spike, the 945 candle. Yeah, you could have gotten the YM, but the ES and the Russell were just unfortunately not in setup ranges today. So, like I said, with it being as flat of a morning as it is, it's just there. And look, even though the indices are starting to roll, it's not like the VIX is doing anything. The VIX is literally kind of where we opened back up today. So technically, it's still showing red from where we closed because we closed here. So we're down, but it's exactly where we opened. And indices are starting to flip a little negative on us. Apple pulled back to where we closed. Tesla down from where we closed. Let's see, is anything else? Oil's pulling back a little bit. Gold is going higher. This is what happens when you try to block gold. So yeah, I would say gold would be the one to watch. With gold and silver spiking the way they are, I'd be looking for tops for both these. I think those are both great trading opportunity today. I know people don't trade those as much. Is this rolling back yet? Yeah, currency wise, we're again made it back down to that base, which is where it should. So the next punch through this base is when this one should go. So, is what it is today. So trying to see if there's any other big headlines, but not really. We're gonna send to friendly nations. Sell to friendly nations. Yep. So, and again, if you think about who they're selling it to, like this was another thing. Todd's like, yeah, whatever. It's just India. They don't matter. I'm like, do you know how many people India has? India has a lot of people. China has a lot of people. Right? These are large nations. They got a lot of people. So yeah, that's a lot of oil. So if the West cuts them off, and India again, if India and China are going to pay half the price per gallon of oil, right? That gives both those countries absolute huge booms in those industries. Huge booms. And a competitive advantage. And we're talking about China taking over. I mean, there it is. This is what's going to happen. It's unfolding right now. So, all right. So that's it for today. Like I said, the only real mover in currencies is really the yen right now. I mean, 6, 16, 25, 46 in the dollar CAD, and it's just recoupling with oil down right now, right? Aussie dollar 32, pound yen 16. There's nothing. So, I mean, I would be looking for reversals in the yen, reversals for gold and silver once those two things stop. Um, Besides that, natural gas obviously continued to deteriorate. We knew that that was going to happen. And again, looking for, we don't have the base in there yet. And then again, oil. Oil's giving us that kind of pullback, looking for a push down to the 110 area for today. So, interesting day. Just how things are lining up, but nothing major here. Looks like Bitcoin is almost completely flat now. Yeah, it's trying. Ethereum is flat, 0.01%. It looks like the stonks are trying to come back a little bit. They're trying. They're trying. And bonds are starting to take up a little bit more as the indices are down. So that's it for today. So go ahead and let's do the drawing. Will won yesterday, so Will's going for his 100 pip chips. Everybody else is going for their 25. Will's in for 3. Will's finally figuring out, he's got to up his odds. Got to raise it a little bit there, right? All right, Debbie Marina. No Sean today. Let's see Sean. Guess Sean is taking a day off today, right? All right, let's close this down. I got Buddy next to me. He's kicking all over the place. So, winner of today's drawing is, does Will go for number 3? Do Neuro and Ernest stacked up 5 tickets against him? Are they going to stop him? Or are the girls going to steal this one with 1 ticket? Are they going to steal it with 1 ticket? Debbie, Debbie's like, it's closed. I'm trying to buy another one. Trying to get in there too, right? It's funny. Debbie, you do have one, so you did get your 1 ticket in. So it wasn't like you didn't get it in. But let's see if the women stop him with 1. Winner of today's drawing is Ernest. So Ernest got him with a 2. And again, they were kind of stacking the odds. So, yep. Again, it happens. Right? It happens. Let's give Ernest his 25 for the day. 25, and we're in. Look at that, Debbie. You're close. Debbie, you're close to breaking 5K. Very close to breaking 5K. It's a big mark. So, Neuro, I thought we banned him. Well, Neuro, unfortunately, I gave Ernest admin access. That's why, yeah, Ernest has the little sword next to him. The sword means that Ernest has the power to do bans. So, um, I figured that, Ernest helps me out enough. Like, he answers so many student questions for me, and I'm super appreciative of him. Even though he has not sent me moonshine or his personalized secret, dry rub. Not even the recipe. I want him to blend it and send it to me. He still hasn't done it. I've been asking for years, but I gave him admin access. So if there's anybody that's in there spamming or trying to do anything weird when I'm talking, you know how I love my soapbox. So Ernest is an admin. So even if I wanted to ban him, I think he could just unban himself and get right back in. So see, when you talk about being rigged, it's Ernest is too close for comfort. I know, right, Debbie? So all right. With that said, I'm out of here, guys. Look at that. Actually, manufacturing PMI data came in good, 9:45. So that's good. Um, Besides that, get your popcorn. It's just gonna show smaller than expected fall in natural gases. So yeah, natural gas a little bit that help move it. Again, natural gas is more the weather, not necessarily supply right now. So I'll ban you. Yeah, Ernest is like, I'm gonna ban you. Ernest doesn't have access to the contest software though. Ernest only has admin rights that he can ban people. Block people, erase things for me. So all right, with that said, I'm out of here. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. You guys have a great Thursday. Like I said, watch out for some of these headlines. There's some decent trade setups out there. A big day for reversals, and I mentioned the reversals. What we're going to grab: gold, silver, the yen gives us a couple different currency pairs to trade. So, with that, I'm out of here. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Take care.